What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and tonight I am joined by my co-host Matt Llewellyn and Anthony Perry, and we're here to celebrate the 49ers beating the Seattle Seahawks 21-13 and clinching the NFC West. Before I throw it over to all you guys, if you're tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there so we can see and interact with your comments. Also, I apologize for my voice. I am dealing with COVID, but I'm still here to celebrate. Matt, how you feeling about this win?
Man, it was a big win. First time we've swept Seattle since 2011. We are now 5-0 in the division. Brock Purdy comes out and gets another victory. At first, it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if he played as well, but then you deal with hear all the stuff he had to deal with. Didn't throw a pass until walkthroughs at the hotel lobby yesterday. Dude came out and did what he had to do. And it's a huge one. And for it to come on the road again, like 2019, in those cold white uniforms against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, it's just fitting, man. I love it.
Hell yeah, I love it, man. Those jerseys I can never get enough of. Perry, what did you think of the game? What did you think of Brock's performance? Let us know.
Yeah, man. 17 of 26, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. I mean, coming off a short week, you're banged up. The Niners have historically been very bad in Seattle over the past decade. I believe they only have 1 or 2 wins in Seattle to begin with. So we all know Seattle as it is a really hard place to play in. And the fact that we had a third-string, 7th-round rookie quarterback come in and essentially execute the job while being hurt, while you're missing one of your top receiving threats in Deebo Samuel. And then Matt brought it up how he didn't really start going through walkthroughs in the hotel lobby, which is really pretty much by game time. And that's just absolutely unreal adversity for Brock Purdy to face. And there's not much more you can ask for the kid, man. I mean, there were some throws and some plays where you're like, that didn't look too pretty, but you can't hold it against the kid, man. I mean, he literally faced the largest mountain throughout his journey already as a 49er. And for that, hats off to him, man. He played his ass off, and you really couldn't have asked for a better performance given the circumstances that went on.
Yeah, 100% agree. Short week, injured, didn't have much time to prep for it. And then he finishes 17 for 26, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 117 rating. He started off 12 for 12, but I believe is the only rookie quarterback to ever do that for TNF. If the Amazon crew got that correct. Pretty impressive stuff. Kyle simplified the offense, allowed him to get things done pretty easily. Matt, we were kind of expecting a really heavy ground attack. And while Christian McCaffrey still topped 100 yards, we didn't see a healthy dose of both McCaffrey and Mason. Did that surprise you at all?
It did a little bit. I think that McCaffrey ended up getting the bulk of the carries when the game kind of stayed really tight. Just because he's so versatile in the passing game. Again, he had another 6 catches today. So he had 26 carries on the ground, 108 yards, 4.2 a pop with that touchdown. But it's really his versatility in the passing game that I think keeps him on the field over Mason. But that's not to underscore Mason, because Mason came in and did the job when he needed to at the end. When it was time to pound the ball once Seattle made that pretty ill-advised challenge on that Brock Purdy scramble for the first down, it was Jordan Mason time. At that point, a 220-plus pound running back against the defense that had already seen Christian McCaffrey 26 times, had been going up against George Kittle, who, had a really good game, had 2 nice touchdown passes. At the end of the game like that, the defense is kind of gassed. They were on the field. The 49ers had the ball for 33 minutes, so they won time of possession. One of those things where it's kind of like, is this the opt-out moment, And I think it was clear when Mason broke that huge 56-yard run, and big man wanted that touchdown so bad, but he just doesn't have the wheels for it. It was a good thing, man, and I liked it. And I think we would have seen him earlier, but Robbie at least a couple times this season and just miss a pretty easy field goal. I think if the 49ers would have gone up 24-6 at that point rather than 21-6, and then Seahawks go down and score a touchdown, I think we would have seen Mason earlier. But with it being so close, I think that's why McCaffrey was there for as long as he was.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, in Seattle, I mean, giving up a ton of yards, I think like 600 yards for the past 3 games. Clearly, it was a point of emphasis going into tonight to not allow the 49ers to beat them on the ground. They still didn't do that good of a job. I want to read this comment here before tossing it to Perry. Brock Purdy's the second ever quarterback to have 115 plus pass rating in their first 2 games. First player is Aaron Rodgers. So take pass rating with a grain of salt, but still pretty
By the
crazy.
way, that stat gets even better when you realize he's the first only quarterback ever in the Super Bowl era to have quarterback rating of 115 in his first 2 games with 2 touchdown passes thrown in each game.
Damn. He's doing some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, we just saw Kyle Shanahan say he's the most poised quarterback he's ever been, a rookie quarterback he's ever been around. Um, Perry, 2 3/4 games in now with Brock Purdy at the helm. Do the 49ers' chances at the Super Bowl go up, stay the same, go down since Jimmy Garoppolo is no longer in there? Can you definitively say one way or another?
I definitely say that just based off of Purdy's ability to kind of keep plays alive alone. Yeah, I think their odds actually go up. Kirk Herbstreit was talking about how it was the final scramble right before Purdy iced it with the first down. He was saying that Garoppolo, one, wouldn't have made that, and two, you kind of had the feeling that on the broadcast, Herbstreit wanted to say that would have ended up in a punt. So you have guys saying like that, and it's like, okay, well, it's pretty obviously clear that Purdy's doing something that Garoppolo isn't. And that's using his legs and making plays. And again, Purdy doesn't need to be the most craziest athlete. He just needs to be able to extend a little. And it's kind of funny to put it that way because in a sense, that's what the idea of getting Trey Lance behind was, is yeah, you get this quarterback who can move, but you also have a quarterback who can really move and break the pocket and kind of make those plays longer. Well, you see what happens when you get a quarterback like Brock Purdy, who isn't exactly an athlete's athlete, but he can do just enough with his legs to break the pocket and extend. We saw that last week with the Deebo Samuel pass when the linebacker had his back turned. That was a beautifully extended play. Obviously, we saw with the scramble today. There was a play that got called back. It was a really nice pocket where Brock Purdy slipped. I don't know if you guys remember that. He slipped going back.
Yeah, and they made a good throw.
Back up and got on the run and made a really nice throw to Ray that got called back, I think, because McClinchy was holding. It's things like that you see when you're like, holy shit, like this guy can really do a lot. And you're asking for the guy to essentially just, if the pass rush is hidden home from the defense, break the pocket and make something happen. That's essentially why you have guys like Deebo, why you have guys like Ray and Ayuk and Kittle who just eat in open space. Because if they're having to move in open space when there's no other defenders around them, we saw like Kittle today, he leaked open and down wide or down far to field because no one picked him up because Purdy was able to extend it. So you see that kind of thing happen and you go, oh shit, this guy can really move around and keep these plays alive. Now all of a sudden you're putting a lot of pressure on the defense to have to cover longer. The seconds that tick, as long as you have to cover, the odds are of someone getting an opening increases. And at that point, it's just on Purdy to hit a throw. And he's been doing that. So yeah, Zach, I think absolutely 100% certain that the Niners' SB odds go up with the way Purdy's been playing. No doubt.
It pisses me off too, because what they're doing with Purdy is exactly how I want them to use Lance, which is like, let him break the pocket if he needs to, but stop running that QB power shit.
Agreed.
You're muted, bud.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything.
No, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Eric is asking Perry or Matt, how well is Purdy doing because he's a system quarterback, or do you think he's a real deal?
Oh, you, Matt.
I still think that 3 games is too little a sample size. He's doing great right now. And like at this point, I don't care how he's doing what he's doing. I just like it. That will bear out over the longer term. But for right now, he's doing great with what they're asking him to do. He was really good in the Big 12. You know, I think he's the only Big 12 quarterback to have like 12,000 yards passing, 80 touchdowns, and 1,000 yards rushing or something like that. But those are all, you know, that's the ESPN stat of the week crap. All I know is that the kid is coming out. He's not scared of the moment, and he's doing a great job for us. So let's ride the wave for as long as we got it. He's a solid guy.
Yeah. I thought it was funny when they were saying stuff like, can he handle the crowd in Seattle? Like, he's played in Texas, he's played in Alabama. Like, these crowds are much larger, much louder. The fans are much more involved. So I think he was able to handle it. It wasn't that big of a deal for him.
I was one of those people saying that before I realized he was playing in those environments. And I mean, Alabama and Texas crowds are, I'm sorry, I think they're entirely different, even compared to Seattle. like you don't doubt those states that really don't have too much going for them. So those environments are insane, and Purdy handled it really well. I was shocked, actually.
Yeah. And he played well tonight. I know Matt and I were talking before we went on. There were a couple misses, maybe performance-wise. But if we're looking at each of his 3 performances over the past 3 weeks, statistically, it's roughly the same game each game. And that's been good enough for the 49ers to win. Matt, I'm going to throw it back to you. This defense is just on fire. I mean, how good is this defense? Is it good enough for the 49ers to ride through the playoffs and potentially to a championship?
I mean, it definitely is if Brock Purdy can keep just a level. Somebody pointed out, like, the way that Brock Purdy was playing, it's like, oh, this is very reminiscent of Alex Smith. And I'm like, that's all this team needs. They have enough playmakers that if Brock Purdy just takes care of the ball, big things will happen. I mean, we saw both of Brock Purdy's touchdown passes weren't like deep bombs, but they were to Kittle, who was working in space and was able to get by guys and run by guys and score touchdowns. Particularly on the second one, he was able to get by Tariq Woolen, who had over pursued, and then the linebacker that was coming up behind, he was able to move on him and then score the TD. If you can get him to just, again, nibble, take what's there, right? And then hit that occasional big play. And here's the thing. Unlike some other quarterbacks that we've had, and I will include Trey Lance in this, he does not miss the wide open guy very often. When he throws it to the guy, the ball is on target. And that's something that we need to. Robert Saleh said this about Mike White the other week, and I firmly believe in this. He makes easy look easy, and that's what you want out of your quarterback, and that's all you need him to do. Get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. The 49ers, they put up a stat tonight, have led the NFL in YAC since like 2018. So, like, get the ball in these playmakers' hands and let them do work. That's all you need, and this defense will be able to close the door on the other guys.
Yeah, 100%. And that really is it. And you mentioned something earlier that you wanted Trey to kind of get these plays called for him, and I really wish that was the case. But I think that just speaks to what Kyle Shanahan thinks of each of these quarterbacks. Unfortunately, he just doesn't feel that Trey was ready to get these plays called for him. And on the flip side, he does feel that Brock Purdy is ready. So he's making the most of his opportunity, and you really do appreciate it. Perry, I'm going to throw it back to you. Tavares says CMC is the MVP of the offense. He made Jimmy and Purdy look great. Tonight, he finished with 26 carries for 108 yards and a touchdown and added 6 receptions for 30 yards through the air. Just how much does CMC mean to this offense?
The guy is just a Swiss Army knife. I mean, come on. The guy is just running the ball like crazy. He catches the ball with ease. The guy is a running back who gets open more than some of our wide receivers when it comes to route running. And I'm not trying to knock the other guys. It's just CMC is really good. So, yeah, at the time, it was like, wow, a second, third, fourth, fifth round pick. That looks like a lot. But, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to complain about it now. You know, you're looking at all those draft picks are going to be really low in the draft, and they're not going to be worth as much value to the Niners as CMC is right now. And now you have CMC under team control, I think, for another season or two also. So you're looking at that, and it's like, well, okay, whoever the quarterback is going to be after this stretch, regardless, you're going to have one of the best weapons in the game, barring injuries. And we see what's going on, and we see how he can shoulder the load with Debo being out now. And the guy is just an absolute matchup nightmare. You put a linebacker on him, gets cooked. You put a cornerback on him, gets cooked. You double him, which I've seen once so far, he still wins somehow. So it's things like that you see that, like Matt said, when it comes to Mike White, quarterbacks have to make the easy look easy. Well, I think having CMC definitely is a big part of making the easy look easy. And you got to give him that props to that, man, because without him, and you're looking at this game, for example, without him or Debo, you know, it's a lot tougher moving forward, but we don't need to speak on that because we have CMC now. So at this point, you know, you just won the division, keep that man healthy, do what you got to do. But I really think his impact cannot be overstated enough because the guy is just, I think, by far been the offensive MVP ever since he came into San Francisco. As for the season long itself, that's obviously up for debate. But no, CMC's value to the offense, I think, is by far more than what you can ask for a quarterback, for a wide receiver, for a tight end. Like, we see how important Shanahan values his running backs, period. Then you really see how important Shanahan values players that can just do it all, period. He had it with guys like Taylor Gabriel in Atlanta who just did it all, who was able to move really well. You have running backs like Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman in their primes who could catch and run really well. You give Shanahan those kind of weapons and you can see what the offense can do, where you have quarterbacks who all they need to do, and I can't stress it enough because what Matt's saying is really important, makes it easy look easy. Well, then all of a sudden now the Niners are literally averaging 24 to 28 points per game. They are top 10 in the league in points per game. When the first few weeks or so, we were questioning if the Niners can even get to 20 because it was really ugly at some points. But now you see what happens when you add a weapon like CMC and a quarterback who can hit those throws to someone like CMC who's open. Well, there's not much more you can ask for it, but it starts with CMC, man. And he's just absolutely been eating the offense, and he is very, very valuable for the team.
100%. Hung Fast says, can we just soak at the fact that we just beat Seattle by 8 in Seattle with our third string rookie quarterback and without Debo? Kyle is coach of the year. Come on.
No disrespect to Nick Sirianni, but he's absolutely right. Kyle's coach of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, third string quarterback, won your division, did all this stuff. Come on, man. Easy coach of the year.
100%. Also, Brandon adds, Nick Bosa's sack threat caused the pick 6 and the rest called roughing the passer. That was BS. That was the worst roughing the passer call I've seen in a while.
Those are my boys. That's why I put the information out. I was working today, sub teaching, and I was curious. I was like, I used to tweet about referee stuff a while ago, so I was curious and looked it up because at the time I was like, oh, Alex Kemp averages 12 penalties per game. It seems like a lot. Oh, he averages like 10 a game versus the Niners. Oh, those 10 are against the Niners. It's like, oh my Christ, it was awful tonight, guys.
Yeah, this one was a little bit more down the middle if you really look at it by like the actual penalties, but still 15 accepted penalties for a total of 139 total penalty yards, not including penalties that were declined. There were a couple of those, not including that one play where 3 were on the 49ers defense, and I think that was that the Nick Bosa sack as well? No, that was a hands to the face when it looked like the tackle, busted him down. But at the same time, it's just like, that's way too much refs on my damn TV. I don't need to see them that much. But that roughing the passer was terrible. And I know they're going to say, oh, Nick Bosa landed on him. It's like, well, dude, they got tackled into 2 other people. Where do you want him to land? Yeah. This is how people get hurt because they have to move or do unnatural motions or whatever. Geno Smith was fine. So BS was penalty right
horrible
there.
Call.
And robbed Diamador Lenore of a much earned pick 6.
Yep, 100%. Keeping on the defense, I would argue this was Mooney Ward's best game of the year prior to leaving with that. He left for concussion and then was cleared to return, but ultimately did not return. He was going at it with DK Metcalf all night. DK was looking like a little bitch, to be honest with you. Throwing fits, grabbing Ward by the back of the jersey, yanking him around, trying to, get PI. And luckily he did finally get called. Perry, I'm going to throw it to you. Was this the glimpse of what you thought you were getting when the 49ers signed Mooney Ward?
Yeah. I mean, holy cow. The guy's just absolutely been locked down all season long. The only game where I guess he got worked a little bit was against Arizona and DeAndre Hopkins. But I personally thought that was just for like a half. And then after that, that shit got shut down. Let's be real. This was just another game where like Mooney Ward, oh my God, and then even when he gets knocked out, it's like Janoris Jenkins didn't play awful when he was in coverage. It was that's kind of what pleasantly surprised me. I was like, oh, Jenkins actually looked okay. He had that one where he went for the pick near the end and he just whiffed on it entirely, which, I mean, I give him a break. The guy hasn't played all season. He's 34 years old. So kind of give him the benefit there. But no, it was Mooney Ward is just absolutely the real deal. I think he's what the Niners have been looking for a really long time, and he just shuts his side of the field down entirely. And that's the thing I kind of noticed too, is it seems like early on the Niners pass rush is kind of the last few weeks I noticed has been kind of 50-50, but then that's when you notice guys like Mooney Ward who can really lock down in coverage for those extra couple seconds to buy the pass rush more time to hit home or get a pressure. And that's kind of the value that I don't think really gets talked about enough, is that it's not just the guys locking them down. It's that he's locking them down for an even more extended amount of time than normal cornerbacks. And that's just a value that's completely understated, I think. And Charvarius Ward's just important, man. He's an absolute dog, hands down.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus says Purdy didn't play that good. The defense set the offense up, ? Played well
enough.
Of
that comes from the injury. He played well enough. It looks like Kyle was saying he was more injured than he let on, and he did enough, man. That's all you can do.
Yeah. I mean, we're not asking worlds out of, the rookie third string quarterback. Can you win a hostile game in Seattle for the division? Yes. No more needs to be asked. Um, I just wanted to share this real quick. Al Sacco tweeted out the 49ers have 5 offensive touchdowns of 25 plus yards in the last 2 games. They only had 7 in the previous 12 games. So he is adding that element of down the field explosive plays, even if a lot of it could be yards after the catch. It's still something that was missing, and ultimately that was huge. 49ers throwback, Jimmy would not have won it. He struggled even last year against a really bad Seattle team to win it. We're going to be wrapping things up here shortly. If you have any questions, shoot them at us. We'd love to answer them before we wrap up. It's a weeknight. I got COVID. You guys got work. Are there any final points you guys wanted to touch on that I didn't cover, Matt or Perry? Perry?
Final points. Man, it was just a good game for the Niners. You know, I mean, it was one of those games where you can take away that, yeah, there's things that could have gone better. That touchdown drive by Seattle was kind of like, holy shit, you know, like that really came out of nowhere. And then, of course, Robbie Gold has to make life hard and pull a Robbie Gold, which he's, like Matt said, is good for once or twice a year. But no, you know, this is the kind of games that just sometimes they aren't going to look the prettiest, but they also aren't going to be the ugliest, you know. And going into halftime up 14-3, I was like, yeah, I'm really happy with that. The fact that the Niners were even able to finish 21, you know, it's not exactly what we want, but they won the game, so it matters. Purdy didn't put the team in a really bad position. Yeah, he had this one kind of Jimmy throw, but if Purdy got that throw more over the top, Jennings was wide open downfield if he, you know, let him more, which Matt and I talked about. If you wanted to be critical, then Purdy could do better leading throws. But I mean, there's literally no reason to critique that, man. I mean, Purdy's been amazing. And I think the biggest point can be made is that that's kind of Shanahan's thing as an offensive play caller and the head coach is if you just limit the turnovers, if you just execute when needed, the wins are going to keep flowing. The wins are going to keep coming. He talked about in his press conference about having rhythm with players. That applies to all players on the offense. So if he can just build that rhythm and keep that confidence for Purdy, especially going, you know, the sky's the limit for this team. It really is. So overall, I'm just proud. I can't believe they won in Seattle, and big things ahead for the team, man. 3rd place at worst in the playoff seeding. I'll take it.
Yeah, 100%. Go ahead.
Yeah. Matt. My biggest thing is keep the momentum going. You know, you guys are playing really well. You got a tough test coming up. You have, I believe they play the Commanders on Christmas Eve at 1:00. It's a Saturday, which means that you have 9 days in between games. And that's a long time. That's a long time to be celebrating. And you're going to be going up against a good defense with the Commanders and a team that will be fighting for its playoff life. Now is not the time to let your foot off the gas. Celebrate for a couple days and then get back nose to the grindstone, you know, like it's a normal week on Monday, and get the team healthy and go into that game, carry the momentum forward into the playoffs. This team is doing a really good job. Let's just keep it going.
100%. I mean, we'll obviously do a preview show later in the week next week, but I see like a 13-3 or some crazy low scoring game against Washington. Taylor Heineke is in for a long day with this defense. My final points. Purdy, like I said a few minutes ago, did just enough to get this win. Didn't turn the ball over, although he should have. Quandre Diggs dropped a pick that was right to him, but hey, he lucked out yet again. He continues to impress me with his complete control of the offense and just having the mindset. He was able to get Seattle to jump off sides on a 4th and 7 or something crazy like that. Like, that's a veteran shit. And I'm really impressed. His mobility, his, you know, was what I'm looking for. Just ability to move really quickly and shake defenders is something that this offense has not had.
You know what's funny about that, though? That 4th and 7, when he had to jump off sides, it was immediately a punt after the quarter ended.
Yeah,
like,
I couldn't believe that.
I was like, dude, why?
I was like, what's the point? Yeah. Close to midfield.
You know, I'm sorry.
It's like Kyle was like, hey, good job, Purdy, getting them to jump off sides, 4th down and 2. Punt team,
Get
go
the
out
fuck
there.
Out of here.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to comment on that real quick now that you brought it up. I'm sorry to cut you off. That was such a veteran play. I'm sorry. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way on God's green earth. I'm sorry. You're telling me that a rookie quarterback, period, is going to go and do that and do it successfully. I don't know if Darrell Taylor, I think, who was drawn off sides, was just kind of lacking brain cells on that play. I don't know if Purdy sold it really well, which I kind of thought he did because he was really getting the guys to hurry up. But those are the kind of things that you look at it and it's like, yeah, this kid's the real deal. No matter what happens with his future, right now with the team, he is the guy to be. And that just, I mean, that I thought that was one of the most like significant plays of the entire night, was just seeing that kind of thing come out from a rookie was unbelievable. unbelievable.
He continues to wow us. So, not just on the stat sheet, not having 400-yard games, 5 touchdowns. It's the little things, the intricacies that really do go far in developing a quarterback. Where he goes after this year, as far as career, I'm not sure. But one thing's for sure, he's earned his respect in this locker room already through 3 games. I don't see any questions in the chat. So with that said, we're going to wrap things up. Matt, Perry, thank you for joining us this evening. Matt, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. Great win by the 49ers. Ever since that tough loss to the Chiefs, the 49ers defense has come out, played lights out, haven't given up more than 17 points per game in a game, set more than 17 points in a game since then. They've been on fire. Very great game. Very great game for them. Another awesome win up in Seattle. I think the ghost of Seahawks past is dead. Russell Wilson is cooking whatever the fuck he's cooking out in Denver. Doesn't matter anymore. It's on to the Commanders. So enjoy your night, everybody. Enjoy a weekend of football where you can just watch Red Zone and track your fantasy team. We don't have to do much else. We got the dub already. So with that being said, until next time, go Niners.